Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are looking at the Friday NBA slate for DraftKings and Fanduel. We have 11 games. Looking forward to this slate. Let's go ahead and get into it. Yesterday, we got the Bucks lineup around like 7-10, and we got kind of a surprise in there with Javon Carter starting instead of Portis or Wesley Matthews or Nwora. So I posted some updates on the website, and so far it looks like it's working out well. Got off of Portis, also got off of Holiday. Put in Carter, see how it ends up in the second half, making this video for that game is complete. But let's go ahead and get into it. I'll post the results on Twitter. 11 games today. Let's go ahead and get started. You can hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Subscribe if you have not already. Check out the links if you want to join us. I'll probably have some Prize Picks videos out this weekend. I'll have maybe some on Twitter for this slate. Or maybe I'll have a video out the afternoon. We'll see. But we have a fun one. Starting off with the point guard picks, a couple guys above 10K, Steph Curry and Ja Morant. Both have, at least Ja Morant has a really good matchup against a poor defensive and very young Houston team that likes to play fast. Memphis also likes to play fast. It's just like pretty high price tag for Ja Morant. You need 60 at least to be satisfied with that price tag. Even though it's a great matchup, I still think there's other guys cheaper. That could be better point per dollar plays, even if Ja Morant gets you 55. You know, one of these guards down here could get you like 6, 6.5, 7x value. So for that reason, probably want to end up with Ja Morant. Same thing with Steph Curry at 10K. We saw Trae Young and DeJounte Murray play really well together in their first game, so that was great to see. Young had 13 assists. DeJounte Murray had 11 assists, so those combined for 24 assists. Got each other involved and got their teammates involved nicely. They get a good matchup against Orlando at home. Pretty much to pick them. On DraftKings, probably like Murray. On FanDuel, I like Trae Young. Trae Young is $800 cheaper on FanDuel, whereas Murray's $100 cheaper. Both are probably going to end up similar. Most nice for fantasy. Maybe DeJounte Murray a little bit more just with the defensive stats that he'll give you, steals, blocks, whereas Trae Young might have more turnovers. But at least on this one, I'm probably like Murray on DraftKings. Lillard got off to a good start in the first quarter, didn't end up really doing great for DFS. However, he's up 95 now. He's went up a little bit on DraftKings, but against the Suns, it's not one of the games that I'm looking to really stack up and get a lot of my players from. Just looking off the board, Pelicans game, definitely one I want to target. Bulls game, Spurs game. The first three look really appealing. Not going to expect it to be much fantasy from, or at least myself, get much fantasy players and fantasy goodness from this Boston-Miami game. Same thing for Detroit, New York. Like Orlando, Atlanta, it's going to be high scoring, fast pace. Like Toronto, Brooklyn, we saw Nick Nurse play some starters north of I think Van Fleet and company and Scotty Barnes and OG, they played like 39 minutes. I think Siakam fouled out. So, first game, and Nick Nurse is already playing them like they've been at it for months. But that game's going to be interesting. Definitely Memphis, Houston is going to be one of the best ones on the slate. And that's it. So you kind of narrow it down to like 6 games or so that are really interesting. We got some good pricing on some of those guys. But like I mentioned, going a little bit cheaper, so not that interested in Lillard. Irving was poor, and we'll see how him and Ben Simmons, both guys, played really poorly. Simmons was a big liability, like a minus 26 in that first game. I don't think it's going to work out between those three. Booker, 89. Good matchup for him, at least. It's a better matchup for Suns than it is for the Blazers. I'm not really in love with that price tag, though. I'd rather get down to like Halliburton at 79. We saw the Spurs. They're going to be very bad defensively just because they're so young. They're starting very young players that haven't been starters. They're starting a rookie in Jeremy Sohan. And only guy that's veteran is Jakob Poeltl, but he can only do so much as one guy. So Halliburton and company and the Pacers are playing fast. They should put up points. They're at home. We saw the Hornets touch almost 130 in that first game. Hopefully the Spurs keep it a little bit closer so we get full minutes from these Pacers guys, but I still like Halliburton in his first game. He played 36 minutes, 26 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. All around great game, just didn't have any defensive stats. So if he adds some of those today, steal or block, or at least 2 steals, something like that, he'll be looking really good. So sub $8,000 I like his price tag. We saw Van Fleet play 39 minutes. He played all the starters, had 15 points for the Raptors. They're just pretty deep in terms of their starting 5. They're going to play huge minutes. It's a good matchup for them against Brooklyn. Van Fleet's a decent option, but I prefer Halliburton. And I like Cade Cunningham a little bit cheaper as well. $100 less, just didn't have a good shooting night, but he still played good minutes. Had 10 assists, had a high usage rate, sky high usage rate. Not the easiest matchup against the Knicks, but if he's going to get the 35 plus minutes, he should be probably productive. But I do prefer Halliburton, though, for 400 more. We'll see about Jamal Murray, but even so, he's not a play at 73. Same thing for, in my opinion, D'Angelo Russell, Chris Paul. Looks okay, but I'd rather get to KPJ for 100 less. It's a good matchup for the Rockets as well. It's going to be a fast-paced game. Shootout potential to be the highest scoring game on the slate. With KPJ being 7K, we're getting a good price tag on him. He didn't miss a beat from the way he closed out last season. In the first game, put up 21, 7, 7, couple steals. They were in the game for the most part against the Hawks, which is impressive for a young team, especially against a very improved Hawks team, even though they're missing Bogdanovic. I like Kevin Porter Jr. a lot at 7,000. I'll plug him in. I like him more than Chris Paul. Brunson, Simmons, we saw Hero play pretty well, but tough defensive matchup against the Celtics. I like Scotty Barnes at 63, point guard and small forward eligible. Probably look to him at small forward instead. Value-wise, you can, DeSumo was pretty affordable. His price tag went up. He had a good game. He's up to 55. They priced up some of the rookies that also had good games, so I'm not that interested in some of these guys that they have jacked up the pricing on. Trey Jones is up to 49 now. He's still a viable play. He got off to a cold start, ended up being decent. 14, 3, 2. Only played 24 minutes, though. So we know pop, especially with this young team trying to tank. I don't know if we'll be able to count on a lot of these Spurs guys for much of the season. With their pricing going up a little bit, probably still Keldon Johnson is going to have to carry the team offensively. Trey Jones, if he's playing good, he's going to get the minutes, but we know Pop will pull the rug out when you least expect it as well. Caruso got the start. Should start again with Levine out once again for this one. Kobe White came off the bench. Played pretty well. He's a valuable, cheap option if you wanted to consider him. 15, 3, 2, 29 minutes for him. They don't have, or that was a preseason game. See his stats from the actual game. He put up 10 and 2 only, but he did play 25 minutes. So that if he's getting 20 plus minutes, he can catch fire from distance every now and then. And $3,000 range, nothing that I'm looking too much on. Maybe you can take a shot on Goran Dragic again, but he got off to a 4-for-4 start from 3. Don't know if we can count on that happening at all. Over at shooting guard, pass on some of the guys I already talked about. I didn't talk about Beal. He's 86. We saw great games from Kyle Kuzma. Beal was good as well. Played 38 minutes. It was a good matchup for them against Indy. Still a good matchup against Chicago. I don't mind Beal at all. That price tag, like him more than Jaylen Brown. Probably like him more than Ingram as well, just having to play with. I know he played well in the first game, but having him play with Zion, it's going to take away some production from him, as well as CJ McCollum. So we're going to have great games from Ingram. We're also going to have games where he maybe puts up 30, 35 fantasy points, is efficient, but the other guys just take all the shots. So they're going to have to really share the ball. Haven't had much. This is the first game that they played with all three of them there. Was last game. Go ahead and put in Halliburton at 79. He's going to really have to do everything for the team, get everybody involved. They're down a couple of bodies already. Well, Miles Turner is out for a week, and possibly they're going to miss Jalen Smith. So if those guys are out, they're going to have to plug in some bigs like Taylor, probably start again. Maybe Brissett makes his way into the starting lineup. They still have Batadze there. But in terms of the guards, it's Halliburton and Buddy Hield that are going to take most of the shots and do a lot of the scoring. They also have the rookie Benedict Mathurin, played well, kind of cooled off in the second half, struggled in the fourth, but he's still going to be kind of like their sixth man. And then Duarte struggled in that first game, but not too much you can read into that. He'll probably bounce back. He was good last year. But Halliburton at 79, I like him more than Edwards and more than Ingram. Rozier is a good play as well, 77, because they're already down ball. Bridges for who knows how long, as well as Martin is doubtful. And they lost some minutes with the blowout against the Spurs in the first game. Going below 6 and 7,000, like Ivy played well in the first game. His price tag is up to 61. So that'd be tough to get to. Rather get to Poole, rather get to Tyler Hero, rather get to Jalen Green, who took 20 shots in the first game, just couldn't buy too many buckets in the second half. Just shot 7 of 20, but played 32 minutes. Him and KPJ are going to take a lot of the usage for the team. They do have a couple of other guys that will take some shots and take some usage, but Tate is out. And they started Bruno Fernando for some reason, so Fernando's not going to take as much usage as Sengun would. So it's just going to help Porter, and it's going to help Green, and Fernando played really, really well for them. So going to go ahead and put in Halliburton here. Vassell is priced up a little bit now at 51. Don't feel great about going to him. Maybe you can take a shot on Brogdon again. Sub 5K. Duarte has a bounce back spot. Possibly Kobe White. Possibly Derek White. But I feel good about paying up at the guards positions a little bit. Over at small forward, Durant, Tatum, big price discrepancy. I like Tatum more than Durant based on the price tag, but I like DeRozan more than both of them. $8,700. They're not going to have Zach LaVine there, so we saw DeRozan ball out in the first game, 37 points, played 36 minutes. He just gets a big usage rate without LaVine, as you'd expect, and he's had some great games last year. Was in the beginning of the season was making noise for MVP considerations, cooled off a little bit, and then once like LaVine or one of the other guys were out for the game, he would step up and get more usage and get more points. But overall, just a very efficient player. He doesn't take many threes. Can get you rebounds, get you some assists. Going with a value pick here, could potentially be like a Scotty Barnes at 63. I like OG Anunoby as well against a team like Brooklyn Nets. That you could see them turn the ball over a good amount. OG is always good with those defensive stats, blocks, and steals. Especially can hit the three as well. Gets you rebounds, some assists, played 38 minutes. Think he's a pretty good option at 61. I like him and Scotty Barnes more than Wagner, more than Markkanen, more than Hayward, although he's still a good play at 58. You have Sadiq Bey, 57. It's fine as well if you want to consider him. Then you have Oubre. I like him more than Mathurin and Bridges and Porter, who would probably still be limited on the minutes a bit. Somehow he played 35 minutes, so I guess not. Thought they were going to limit his minutes as well after missing most of last season, but he's okay. Okay play at that price tag, I'd say. If there is no Murray, then he'd definitely be a lot better. Still underpriced. And then Josh Hart, they don't have much of a bench in Portland, so they're really relying on their starting five. And starting at small forward, Josh Hart at 54 does look like a pretty good play as well. It looks better than like Ross, who started, Hunter, and McDaniels, although he balled out in that first game, but nothing you can really count on. Another value pick that I like is John Conchar. Grizzlies a little bit depleted with some injuries right now. Jaren Jackson is out until probably December, and Dylan Brooks is doubtful once again for this one. So you saw both Conchar and Aldama start. Both had 11 rebounds. Both played well. Both played over 30 minutes. It did go into overtime, but still getting over 30 minutes for these guys, 33 to be exact for him. He's had a couple of games, good games when he got in the minutes. He had a 58 triple-double. Nobody probably remembers that. I didn't even remember that until I looked at the box score on April 10th. He's just going to get opportunities. He's actually been a good shooter for them. Just can't buy free throws for some reason, which is odd because he's shooting 50% from the floor and 40% from three. But at $4,800, getting 30-plus minutes, DraftKings has priced up some guys more than the first game, so that's good to see. Not getting a lot of poorly priced players. So I like Conchar. You can make a case for Cam Reddish, who had a great game off the bench for the Knicks and almost able to pull off the upset in the first game against the Grizzlies. Over at power forward, that's where I'm going to put in DeRozan, top end. Sell Town struggle. Gobert went off. It's just going to be tough to pick between both of those guys, especially when they're both expensive. And then Zion played well. He's still 92 though. His price tag went up. He played like 30 minutes. Don't know if they'll give it much more than that, at least to start the year. So it'll be tough to really put up 50 plus consistently if he's only getting 30 minutes. Paulo Banchero played amazingly well. He's up to 74 now. The offense still ran through him first game. Probably still run through him again, but price tag has not gone up, so you got to consider him over guys that are like established superstars. So for that reason, I'll probably pass on that price tag. Johnson, his price went up almost $1,000. He's still okay, I guess, at 68. But you do have other guys like John Collins is $600 cheaper. And then we have more value down here below $6,000 with Kelly Oubre is going to have to play a lot of minutes. Even Aldama is there at 51. Porter is there at 54. So that's most of the guys. Don't think I'll really go with that cheap at this position. Like getting to DeRozan. And then they don't really have both Toronto guys, I believe, are small forward only. So that's a little bit frustrating because I wish they had OG at power forward. It'd be easier to get to him, but at least we can play DeRozan here. Over at center, it's where Jokic is probably play, but I do like getting to a value here in Vucevic as well. Both him and DeRozan, they're just going to benefit with a lot more usage without LaVine. We saw it last year when LaVine was out. We saw it in Game 1. Both guys took a lot of shots. Vooch took 13 shots. Didn't kind of struggle shooting-wise, but he's always going to get you the rebounds. So he had 17 boards against the Heat. Going up against the Wizards now, he's done well against them last year. He's had some great games. He's also had some poor games, but as long as he's hitting at least some shots, he'd give you a double-double with pretty ease. Good price tag at 75 for the usage that he should expect. Other guys at center would be getting to like Nurkic, although tough to get to him after what he did first game, but he's still cheap. Ayton is 66. He's fine as well. Valanciunas is 7K. I think those guys stick out a little bit. Sub 6K, maybe Capella. But you do have a lot of guys that will command usage now with Murray there, Trae Young there, John Collins, Hunter. So, not the easiest. There is one value pick that I like as well, and that's going to be $4,400. Bruno Fernando started at center. He played really well, 7-9-7 for him, 2 blocks, 25 minutes. So, if he gets off to a good start again, he'll probably continue to get the minutes, and definitely expect him to start once again after what he did in Game 1. So, keep an eye on him. You could play him at utility, or play him over Vooch and go to a different pay-up if you wanted to, but these are the 5 that I'm looking at over on DraftKings. Go ahead and talk about FanDuel. All right, so on FanDuel, a little bit different pricing on some of the Chicago guys. So on DraftKings, I like both DeRozan and Vooch. They're still good plays on FanDuel, but not as good as they are on DraftKings. We have some other guys that are cheap on FanDuel that we can consider. Point guard picks, the first guy that I like is definitely Trae Young at 87, so $800 cheaper than Murray. Like him more than Murray. Ja Morant's also in play at 94 compared to 10-1. So get a great price tag on Dame at 8K. So he's firmly in play. And then I like Halliburton and Cunningham. I like Halliburton a little bit more. Rozier is definitely in play against the Pelicans, just with how thin the Hornets are. And then scroll down furthermore, we got Kevin Porter Jr. at only $6,800. I'm going to go ahead and put him in. Liked him on DraftKings at 7K. I'll definitely like him on FanDuel. He's only $400 more than Jalen Green, so I like both guys, but like Kevin Porter Jr. more. 5K range, Trey Jones looks fine if you wanted to consider him, and also Simons looks pretty good at 57. Over at the shooting guard position, pay up would be, once again, Tyrese Halliburton at 79. You have some other guys in play, Cunningham, Bradley Beal. Those guys are also good plays. Sub 7K would be Jalen Green, Tyler Hero, Gordon Hayward. The guys that are going to benefit, at least with Hayward, with a couple of guys out. Bane's going to benefit a bit with some guys out as well. Sub $6,000 would be like Simons, Buddy Hield. Those guys stick out. You can still go with Jaden Ivey, but I like Oubre a little bit better at 51 with how cheap he is, with how thin the Hornets are. And then $4,100 would be for John Conchar, and $43,000 for Mathurin. Over at small forward, got some pay-ups, like DeRozan is 96, so a lot different of price. He's still in play, but he's almost 2K less, or 2K more expensive than like Ingram. So a little bit of a different story on FanDuel. But one guy that I like is Paolo Banchero, 68 compared to 74. And on FanDuel, you also get those bonuses for blocks and steals, and he's probably going to rack up some blocks, definitely. Got 2 in first game. He's just such a force. He doesn't look like he's only 19 or 20 or however old he is. He looks like he's built like a big man, like 6'10", 250 something. So he's not going to have any problem adjusting playing next to these big NBA bodies. So he's a great play. Other guys would be like Barnes and Anunoby I like at 64. Hero got off to a good start in the first quarter. That kind of carried him to a good fantasy line. Don't really want to get too much action in that game, though. Not the best for DFS purposes, just with how slow and good defensive teams it is. Against Buddy Hield, 55. I like him for sure. Oubre, Sadiq Bey, sub 5K. Bogdanovic played really well in the first game. So lots of options on FanDuel that look pretty good. Sub 5K would be like Duarte potentially in a bounce back. Cam Johnson, only 43. He's going to get a lot more minutes with the Crowder situation. And then Contra at 41, I still like him. Over at power forward, definitely looking at Like Zion looks a little bit better with his price tag. Towns looks a little bit better. He can bounce back. But Siakam I love at 85. Julius Randle at 8K. He looks great as well. We have Scotty Barnes and Anunoby that you can play here. So similar pricing on both. I don't mind Anunoby. Looks maybe a little better on FanDuel just with how often he can get you multiple, like 4 or 5 blocks and steals combined in a game. So he's just a beast on the defensive end. Sengun came off the bench surprisingly, so he's going to be tough to get to. I like Jabari Smith at 48. He played 33 minutes. Played well. He took 17 shots. Wasn't shy shooting. We also have $300 cheaper would be Fernando, but Smith might be a little bit safer in terms of playing time. But both guys are still great options, I'd say. And see if we can find Aldama here. He's 43, so he also would be a pretty good value. So lots of good value at the FanDuel position. And then finally over at center. So we have a lot of good value power forward options on FanDuel. A couple of good pay-ups as well. Center, looking at like Siakam at 85. Still like Vooch a bit at 81. If you want to get all the way up to Jokic, that definitely can do that. Got some good options that are cheap as well with take a shot on Nurkic if you want to for tournaments. But Washington is only 6K compared to like 72 on FanDuel. He played well in the first game, 3 blocks, and played 29 minutes, probably lost a few. So he definitely is somebody that you can go with as a value. Sub 5K, we have a couple of good plays, like Fernando, wouldn't even mind playing. He put up 34 fantasy points in the first game, 25 minutes. He saw Durant off the bench, played really well for them, for the Pistons, rookie. And we'll see if the Pacers are without Smith as well, then like Terry will get some. How's he somehow shooting guard eligible on FanDuel still? Just like he was last year when he plays like center for them. But Brissett will get some run. He's 39. So keep an eye on that. But right now, just sticking with some of the Houston Rockets in that game. Putting in Fernando. Think I can go cheap at center if I wanted to with him. I like the fact that you can play him at center at least. It's not like Vooch is... He's still good play at 81, but I like him a little bit better on DraftKings at 75. And if we can get like 30 or even like 25 plus fantasy points for Fernando at this price tag, we'll be pretty satisfied and get to some other pay-ups. But we'll see what I end up with once we get a lot of news throughout the day. But that's what I like. Houston, Memphis, going to be a great game to target. San Antonio, Indy, going to be a great game to target. And yeah, those are definitely my favorite two. The Bulls game is in play with how thin definitely on DraftKings, on FanDuel a little less so, but I still like that game to target. Charlotte, definitely. Orlando, Atlanta. So you have like 5 or 6 games that really stick out above the rest, and you can kind of rank them with Houston being the first game for me, followed by the Spurs and the Pacers. Well, that's what I got for this video. Another long one, but hope you guys got some value out of it. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for Twitter to stay, post any injury news that we get throughout the day there. If I have to update the lineups, I'll post them there as well. But best of luck. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.